the ultimate statement, except for all of the evidence that was presented in the first part of the statement by the judge. The first part of the statement by the judge was all of the evidence that condemns Israel and which now actually condemns the ICJ. The second part, when they announced their conclusion, could have been written by the U.S. State Department. That could have been Anthony Blinken talking. Just saying, we want everything to be nice in Gaza and Israel should be nice. That's all. That's all they said. So as I said, all of the evidence that was presented, that South Africa presented to the International Court of Justice, all of the evidence that they presented of proof of genocide being committed by Israel, all of that evidence now indicts the International Court of Justice. Because they cited all of that evidence, and even after citing all of that evidence, all of that proof of genocide being committed, their only response to that was, we think that Israel probably shouldn't do those things, and we kind of more or less order them not to do those things, and we give them a month to not do those things, but we still haven't decided whether or not they're doing them, and whether or not doing those things amounts to genocide. So avoid doing the things that you're not supposed to do. That's what they said. No actual special provisions, no actual special measures, no emergency measures were taken. But this is a victory. In the long term, this is a victory. You have to think long term. And anything that discredits Western institutions, Western political colonialist institutions, is a good thing. All of what's happening now, including the genocide case against Israel, all of this is a coordinated BRICS plan to isolate the United States systematically, and even using the mechanisms within the system that they themselves created and established. They're using their own system to isolate the United States, and to basically what the ICJ did today, when they didn't grant actually any significant, meaningful emergency measures and provisions in the case of Gaza. What they did grant was a divorce. They granted a divorce between the global South and institutions of Western power, because they just exposed themselves unambiguously that the ICJ is compromised. We've already known it. We knew that they were, but we hoped maybe they were going to side with the future, side with the global South, side with the actual global international community instead of the West and instead of the United States. But they decided not to side with the future. They decided to side with the past. And so that's where they will be left, in the past. Everything that's happening now, including the various measures at the United Nations and at the International Court of Justice, all of that, in my opinion, it amounts to the BRICS nations trying to expose the irrelevance, the bias, and the colonialist nature of all of these so-called global institutions that are actually Western institutions of global control. That's what they are, and they're exposing them to be exactly that, so that the global South and the actual global international community can finally conclude that we can't deal with these institutions anymore. We have to come up with our own. So they're showing the incompetence and the unreliability of these Western-controlled so-called global international institutions, Western institutions like the United Nations, like the International Court of Justice, showing that these are tools of Western colonialism, and they need to be abandoned, and they need to be replaced. And I think that that's, in and of itself, is a victory. There's no way that we could lose today, depending on, no matter what the ruling was. If they ruled correctly, and ruled for actual meaningful interventionary measures in Gaza, that would have been a victory, clearly. But what they did is also a victory, because it shows the whole world that we don't need to even deal with your institutions anymore.